moving on to the playoff rankings as they were last Tuesday. Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, and Penn State are all going to stay the same,
Yep.
correct? Okay.
Yeah.
And then we can just assume Notre Dame is going to move up to at least 5, unless they jump Penn State, because Penn State almost lost to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to shit on service academies, but 2 great ranked wins against Army and Navy. I get it. It's a ranked win, but I don't know. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. No, I hear you. I definitely hear where you're coming from, but in the committee's eyes, Army was the number 19 team in the nation.
No. I mean, there's no arguing that. If that's a precedent that they've set, and they thought they were number 19, and Notre Dame did that to them, then yes. I mean, I don't think they have any choice but to rank them accordingly to the result of that football game.
At the end of the day, it does not matter because Notre Dame has the glass ceiling that is the 5 seed that they cannot go above. So it's not going to make a difference. So
yeah, you're right. You are correct.
I'd put them above Penn State. Penn State, that was bad.
Did not look good.
Didn't look good.
Not good at all.
It's hard to win on the road in the Big Ten. So Curry's smart anecdote for you.
I just got heartburn. Thank you. God, I'm old.
Forgot war flashbacks from hearing that.
Shit. Okay, so the main questions that we have here: how far does Indiana fall? How high does Miami go up? How high does Georgia go? And wherever Georgia goes, Tennessee will follow. We can assume.
Yeah.
I don't think Boise State moves too much. I mean, they had a little bit of a scare this past weekend. Honestly, I think SMU can now jump over Boise State.
I agree.
That's my humble opinion. SMU is looking like a top 10 team in the country.
They look great.
They look really good. So the big question in the room is how far do Alabama and Ole Miss fall? Because not only did Indiana, Alabama, and Ole Miss all lose, so did BYU, so did Texas A&M, so did Colorado, and so did Army. So those are 4 teams in the 11 to 20 slots that also lost. And Arizona State won, and Iowa State won. And those are 21 and 22. So, and then you also have Clemson and South Carolina sitting at 17 and 18. So, like, it's crazy. It genuinely is crazy because it's easy to say, oh, Alabama and Ole Miss both suffered their 3rd loss. And not just suffered, Alabama in embarrassing fashion. Ole Miss lost to a team that was about to fire their head coach a month ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
had to release a statement saying that they were not going to fire him.
Exactly.
Which is kind of insane.
Yeah. It's nuts. So, I think and the question is, does Georgia jump Miami?
I think,
sadly, probably not.
I think it's time to stop pretending that, I don't know, especially with Georgia, the offense has kind of found their way. I'm tired of pretending Miami's a better team than Georgia. I'm over it.
I was never pretending that shit, but maybe the rest of America was.
Yeah.
Maybe we can come to a consensus as a country on this matter.
The committee saw the 2 in the loss column and said, "Oh, 2 is more than 1." You know.
Yep.
I mean,
that's all that matters.
Yeah. Now that the conference championship picture is coming into shape, I mean, it's time.
SMU is going to blow the doors off of Miami. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think SMU Miami might be one for the books. I'm excited for that. As for the Alabama Ole Miss discussion, I think you got teams like Clemson, Arizona State, potentially even Iowa State. They need to re-enter the fold above the likes of Ole Miss and Alabama, just because they're still in play. They should be considered.
Why not South Carolina? Genuinely speaking, because South Carolina, according to the committee, 6 days ago, South Carolina was 3 slots above Arizona State. following that logic.
I like South
I mean,
Carolina.
A lot of logic around here isn't consistent
That's
with the
true.
committee, at least. I mean,
'cause
the goalposts move, it flip flops. I mean,
Yeah.
they contradict themselves. It is what it is.
That's a good
Obviously,
point.
I think South Carolina could potentially be very competitive and beat a lot of these teams that are being considered for the playoff. However, I think the 3 in the loss column at this point in the season is too much to overcome.
True or
potentially.
false? South Carolina should now be higher ranked than Texas A&M.
True.
True.
All right, I'm just making sure.
That is a true statement.
Okay.
Mhm.
And also, has the committee come out and said this year? I know they've said in past years, but have they said this year that each ranking is independent of the previous rankings?
I don't know what they have.
Okay. I don't know if I've heard that soundbite
You'd
this
hope.
year.
I
Yeah,
haven't
they
heard that
said it.
either.
They said it in.
You got to look at
years
it on a
past.
week-on-week basis. I mean,
Yeah.
shit changes.
Yeah.
Things aren't stagnant.
The only thing that's for certain right now is that Oregon is the number 1 team in the country, and Ohio State's the number 2 team in the country. Honestly, everybody after that, you can at least have a conversation, because Texas has not looked like the 3rd best team in the country.
No.
Their
The
schedule
resume-
hasn't looked like it either.
I was about to say, yeah, the resume doesn't back it up either.
No.
No.
So, I don't know. Long story short, I think Indiana's still a top 10 team. I think best case scenario, we'll skip over Alabama for right now. I think Georgia, best case scenario, jumps up to 7.
Mm-hmm.
But they're probably not going to.
The AP poll, Georgia's at 6.
I'd have it at 6
however,
in the CFP. I would.
In the CFP, it seems to have been the past couple weeks, Georgia has been slowly making their way up.
No way. Do you think it goes?
I could see 7 or 8.
So you think it goes Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, Penn State, Miami, Georgia, Tennessee, SMU?
Potentially.
I could see it.
And then
I do think
teams
that
that
Miami
struggle
will be ranked above Georgia, to be honest with you. What was that?
Probably. I said, how many teams did I just name? 9?
Enough.
10? Well, because I skipped over Boise State because unless some shit happens,
at large,
the next highest ranked Group of 5 team is Tulane, and they're sitting all the way down at 20. So, I mean, that's just probably not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I don't know. What's the floor for the former SEC West foes hailing from Alabama?
I think they could get down to like 16 or 17.
Really?
I can see between 15 and 20.
Georgia lost to Ole Miss.
That's an ugly loss.
9 spots, bro. Like we gotta have some sort of like basis because
Tennessee.
I would agree.
7 to 11, didn't they?
Yeah.
Or from 5
not
to
all
11.
losses are created
6
equal,
to
man.
11.
You lose.
They're not. That was an ugly loss to a team who has not looked good all season.
Exactly. Same can be said for both the Florida game and the Oklahoma game. Both of those teams have looked like garbage at points.
And I would argue the Florida game is more excusable. At least Florida's looked decent as of lately. I mean, I haven't watched that much Oklahoma football. Exactly. But with Oklahoma, I mean, they've had a gauntlet of a schedule. You can't overlook that. If I was them, I'd be pissed. You know, first year in the SEC, my schedule compared to Texas's schedule, I mean, it's insane. They ran the gauntlet. I think they close it next week with LSU, potentially. So I mean, and LSU's still not a bad football team, but that's just such an inexcusable loss in the fashion in which they lost. I mean, it wasn't even like the Ole Miss game where it came down to the final drive, the final play. They got straight up beat. I could see them between 15 and 20. Maybe the Bama bias bumps them up a couple more spots further than that, but I think they need to be dropped if the committee watched the football game.
Higher or lower than Clemson?
Lower.
South Carolina?
I would put South Carolina above them, if I'm being honest. If we're looking at the team that they are right now in the season, I'd argue South Carolina is a better football team.
I think it could very easily go Clemson, Bama, South Carolina, Ole Miss.
That's what I was
in that
thinking too.
order.
I can
But
see
Ole
it.
Miss has the
I don't
head
think they'll be behind both of
over
them. I don't
Carolina.
think they'll be behind. Yeah,
Ole
I don't
Miss
think they're
has the
behind
head-to-head
both.
over
Ole Miss
Carolina?
has the head.
So does Alabama.
So I think they get bookended by Clemson and South Carolina.
That would probably be the most likely scenario. They're not going to go full
That's
out
right.
one way or
Ole
the
Miss
other.
beat the shit out of
It
Carolina.
was like week 4. Yeah, they beat the absolute piss out of them.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So,
Okay.
anyways, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Tomorrow, we're recording this on a Monday whenever you're watching it. So the playoff selection show is tomorrow at 8 o'clock, a little later. We may or may not be streaming. So if you're seeing this before then, feel free to keep an eye out for anything we may or may not be doing for that. Not a hard commit yet, but
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting to see how they slot these teams. I mean, we're getting this crazy. Felt like the season started yesterday. We're getting close to the end of the regular season. One more week before conference championships. So
Yeah.
not much time to get stuff done.
Oh, I do want to go ahead and put out Selection Sunday. I know I'm down. I know Brandon's down. Drew's TVD.
We will be doing something.
We will be doing something, whether it's a live react, whether it's a stream. Something will get put out shortly after. So